So welcome to this episode of the Trailblazers Experience podcast, where we have candid conversations with women in business and entrepreneurs across various industries and sectors. And today I am thrilled to have my next guest, and it is Karisse. Hi, Karisse. How are you?
So excited to be here.
I know, we're making it happen.
We're doing the things, we're doing the bits.
Really good. And I'm just going to introduce you to the audience.
Okay.
So this is Karisse Arkell. Several years experience in the finance and audit sector, and most recently working as an auditor and surveyor for a finance business. She is also an entrepreneur, and her latest venture is co-founder of a pole fitness brand called Kedeyahko, specialising in the niche of pole fitness wear. So the reason why I'm thrilled to have you here today is I firmly believe finance is one of the most important functions in any organization, business, or brand.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sales growth, top line revenue, bottom line revenue would not be possible without the angels of the people in finance.
Angels, is that what you call them?
I know.
I think other people might say other words to describe.
I know. We know when the auditors are coming into the business that it's about to go down. So welcome. And just to start off, let's really talk about your career path and how you started, how you got into commercial finance.
So I got into finance at the age of 18. I sort of fell into it, really. I was doing several call centre jobs, and I had a job in West in the call centre. And then I quickly moved on to their regular helpline to going into a specialist line, which was in regards to early debt recovery. It was like a hybrid role, so sales, selling loans, that sort of things, and managing customers' debts before they went on to sort of hardline debt recovery. From there, I moved on to commercial finance and was an assistant to the risk manager there. And my role predominantly there was looking after businesses that had gone into liquidation or administration. So collecting the bank's debts, collecting the book debt. So that was my job there. And then I moved on to auditing. And I moved into auditing. And the reason why I moved into audit is because I was about 25 years old, something like that. And I wanted a car. And this job offered.
So which job offers a car?
This job offered a car and a laptop. And I was like, oh, I want to be out doing the laptop things and all that sort of thing. So I moved into that role thinking I would probably do it for about a year. Get the experience because, on the ground, meeting businesses is where you get a lot of experience, and then sort of go back into the office, go back into a managerial role, something like that. But when I went into auditing, I absolutely loved the freedom of going out, meeting new businesses, meeting new clients, just being nosy. I just went nosy. And I never went back into the office. I never went back into office life. So I've been doing that. I did that for Royal Bank of Scotland, invoice finance, then moved over to my current company, which is Skipton Business Finance. And I work there as an auditor and surveyor now.
So what's changed over the years in banking? So obviously not just in finance, not just the sector itself, but maybe technology? Are there things you've had to pick up on really quickly?
Well, I think the industry that I'm in, which is invoice finance, the technology hasn't moved on. Certainly not enough.
Hasn't caught up.
No. My company is Skipton company, so it's a Yorkshire company. So they're a little bit slower on developing the technology. We mainly focused on like customer service and just providing that sort of that really good level of customer service. And the industry that I'm in is very much a paper-based industry. It's a case of we have to prove the debt. So we need things like signatures on pieces of paper. That's what we like. We like nice little orders, we like little invoices, and we like proof of deliveries, all sort of tied up in a nice little bow. Obviously, the world has changed and people are just, it's PDAs and signing things like that. or there isn't any paper trail. It's all technology. It's all on a cloud. So we've had to develop our auditing skills that way. So whereas before I would be rifling through boxes of paper and looking for my audit trail that way, now it's a case of looking at things in a completely different way. So that's quite challenging, and every business is different. So again, seeing how they incorporate their technology and understanding every other business's systems and how we can then check all the things, that's quite challenging.
Yeah. And just from the way you've sort of gone about your career path, would you then agree that this is also a way of rising through the ranks in commercial finance? Because it's sort of, you went sort of an apprenticeship, learning on the job, learning by doing type of role.
Yeah, I definitely learned on the job. I did like industry exams, things like that, courses. I think now people getting into it, you definitely need degrees. You can't just go in there. Well, you could do, but I doubt it. Go in there with a bit of, because I literally went in with a little bit of swagger and, oh, I could do this, a bit of a blag it mentality, and just sort of went, yeah, I can totally do that, and did it. Whereas nowadays they are looking for, those accolades, and rising through the ranks. I think it's still quite difficult, especially for women of colour in the industry. I think it's probably a lot easier in London, down south, where I am, in Manchester, and my company's based in Skipton. I mean, there's me. There's me representing for all the melanated auditors. And whenever I went networking in the past, or whenever I was at industry events, there wasn't many of us. There wasn't many of us there at all.
Yeah, but to be honest, Karisse, I mean, even in my industry, so I'm in e-commerce digital, I'm still, usually the only melanated woman of color in the room, but I am in the room and hoping, that we see more women watching this podcast saying, oh, I never thought I could get into that, and maybe find a way to research how to become an auditor, whether it's degrees, what courses, what qualifications are required. But come on, Karisse. I mean, you said you blagged your way through. What qualities, now that you look back on your several years' experience, what qualities do you think you possess that really makes you good at your job?
Good at auditing, I'd probably say good at reading people. Because people always think that they say, oh, you must be good at numbers, you must be good at finance. And yeah, I'm okay. I'm not great at maths or anything like that. I'm good.
That's what all finance people say. Oh, we're not. Yeah, we're okay. And then
honestly, I've got a calculator. I've got spreadsheets to do all the adding up. But it's more of collating the information and stepping back and seeing if it makes sense. Is the person that you're talking to telling you the truth? So, for example, one of them, the things that I look for is how they speak. Even things like the reddening of the chest. When you ask them a question, are they giving you the right answer? Does it make sense? One time I did an audit for a client who they made stairs that went into new build properties. And when I was checking the paperwork, it was all perfect. All the paperwork was nice and neat, and it was, tick box. And I kept looking at it, and the signatures on the forms were all written in a fountain pen. I was like, gosh, that's unusual. Like a fountain pen on a building site, like just doesn't make sense. And also, paperwork on a builder site, it's going to be dirty. It's going to be crumpled up. It's been in a van. It's been, it's not going to come in fresh off the printer. Yeah, with a nice fountain pen. And then I noticed that the directors had a fountain pen. And so when I went to the manager and said, I think this is a fraud, they were like, no, he's definitely not. This client's like, a legit client. He's just straight as a die. And I was like, no, it's not. So I spent the whole of the audit, rather than doing the audit, I spent the time collating the information, taking it back with me, photocopying, leaving them with the photocopies, taking the originals and just saying, look at this. I handed that into the relationship manager, and they did some more digging after the audit and found, it was a fraud. And it was just basically on a pen. It was just that. It was just the fact that it didn't look right. So, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm hearing attention to detail.
Yeah.
Taking the step back to look for inconsistencies in the data that's been provided or the information, and listening as well, active listening.
Does it actually make sense? And also, if we have this thing, if it's too complicated, it's like, we don't want to know. It's like, if it's too complicated, then why? Why is it? Why are you explaining something that's so complicated? It shouldn't be.
Especially when it's your business.
Yeah, are you overcomplicating it to confuse me, the auditor, or so that can be a bit of a red flag when they try to bamboozle you with jargon, and you're like, just simplify it. What do you do?
Yeah, keep it simple and stupid.
Yeah, that's it. What do you do? How do you do it? And what's the proof that you've done it? Because our invoice finance is financing the book debt. So we're financing the sales ledger. So we advance monies based on their work that they've done. So we have to, there's a lot of honesty that you've done this work, and then we're going to, collect the money at a later date. So you can easily defraud us. It's very easily done, but we like to think that the majority don't. But yeah, it's keeping it simple.
Yeah. And what are you most proud of when you just look back on your career in that sector? What are your proudest achievements from a career perspective?
Well, I think back in the heyday, I've been to the awards and I've done things like that. But I think just being a Black woman in this industry is definitely an achievement, because,
there aren't any or as many.
Yeah. And I think just doing my job to the best of my ability, consistently. I really think that's my biggest achievement, because on a personal level, I never expected to be an auditor for that long. And I think I've been auditing now for 15, 16 years, something like that. And balancing that as a mother and all the other things, I really think that's my biggest achievement. I'm not interested in like accolades at work in that respect anymore. I'm more interested in just my own personal growth.
Yeah, which is really good to say, because, I think, Karisse, sometimes we're living in a world where career progression and doing different things and working for different organizations sometimes is glamorized, but there's also something to be said with the fact that you've been in one sector, you've been consistent, you have developed and grown, and that's also okay. Yeah. That's fine as well. Yeah. That speaks to your personality and your qualities as well, your character.
I did have, before I had my children, I did have a career plan. When I moved into Skipton, I was the only auditor. So I went from sort of being a small fish in a big pond at Royal Bank of Scotland to being the only auditor in a smaller company. And I was able to sort of develop the reporting and work with the operations manager in terms of structuring deals and underwriting and all that. It was really exciting. And then I had my children, and it just switched my focus. And I was like, I might come back to that, but at the moment, I really just want to do not just the mum thing completely. That's the only thing, but just boss mum thing and do this thing as well. It took a step back. And then when I always thought that when they were sort of 10, I would step up to the plate and go back into, trying to go up that career path. And when it was brought to me not that long ago, I was sat there and I just went, no.
No. You didn't want it?
I didn't want it. I was just like, I love what I do. I can do it really well and still do the school run. and still be there for drama and still go to my pole classes and still, go out for dinner with my friends. I can do all of that. If I then switch to managing a team, doing more underwriting or not, will it give me joy? Will it fill my soul? And the answer to that was no. It might fill my pockets, which is great, but it's not going to give me nourishment, which is what I'm really seeking at the moment.
Yeah, and I guess it comes with maturity. I was talking to a lady who's having her first child. It was a women's dinner, and it's her first child, so you can see she hasn't been through this rodeo, and all she's thinking about is, I need to leave everything perfect at work, and I'm now hiring my replacement. So she's thinking about all these things, and it's formidable. It's great. But on the other hand, we both know, we have kids. We know that her priorities are going to change. She'll probably still be ambitious, but it'll
will change. It's just that
exactly
that drive that I had didn't go away. It just refocused. It was just on something else. So it was my children and just developing them and developing myself as a woman, as a mother. And now it's shifted onto my own business as well. So it doesn't go away. You just reprioritize, don't you?
Yeah. So let's talk about some challenges potentially that you've faced in your career, because I guess it's to shed light for those people watching out there that you will have some highs, some lows, but it's just about overcoming them. What are some challenges that you've faced?
So for me, big one, racism and misogyny. So when I first started, 25-year-old Black woman going into businesses which were run by, and a lot of the businesses that we go to are manufacturing businesses. So it'll be run by a senior, maybe a family, a senior white man who's been doing it this way since the dawn of time, and he's writing everything on the back of a fag packet, and you're telling him, can't really do it on the back of a fag packet anymore, we need a system, and you're telling them what you need them to do. And the backlash I used to really get, especially when I worked for Royal Bank of Scotland, and I think especially in Royal Bank of Scotland, maybe they did not, should I not say, they did not have the culture of backing
women within the organization. Yeah.
And there was times I came away from audits crying. There was I remember one time the company put me in the loading bay. So it was freezing cold, so it's winter. It's winter. The loading bay, they just put me sort of there in the loading bay. They were on
with all the documents.
Yeah, just kept putting them out, and I was just like, I was so cold. I was freezing, and I rang my boss at the time, and I just said, they've put me in the loading bay, I'm free, and they just said, just leave. And then afterwards, they did give them a dressing down. They did give them a dressing down. I've seen things just terrible as well, because I'm going into family-owned businesses a lot of the time. Not all the time, but, just people's own businesses. People just be acting crazy, I remember going into an office and the director was just going around smacking asses. And I was like...
I've heard so many stories about that,
It was just like... So this is... And the girls, or the women, there were women, were just like... And I was just like, no. And so I went back and I wrote in my report that this is just... no. And I said, I'm not going back there. And I remember my boss at the time just being like, oh, it's just how he is. And I'm just like, it's inappropriate and I don't feel comfortable. I have been accosted. I have been locked in a garage. I've been asked to join a harem, a man who had a couple of wives, and asked if I wanted to leave my job and join his harem. And I was just like, I'm going to pass. Can you let me leave?
The reason why it's good to talk about this, because it's just unprofessional. Anyone who is being invited to a so-called business dinner and such propositions are being made is just inappropriate and wrong and should not be happening.
And they wouldn't do it to the male counterparts. That's the thing.
Of course,
They wouldn't do it. I think I struggle. I mean, finance is very white male dominated. My industry certainly is. And I struggled at the beginning of speaking up for myself and saying, I don't want to go to that company because of X, Y, Z. You know, I'd overheard racist comments, homophobic comments, sexist comments, and I didn't speak up for myself in those first few years, especially when I was working at Royal Bank of Scotland. And when I became a mum, it was really when I became a mum that I was just like, no, this can't fly, because if this is going on and I don't speak up, then when my children go out into the world,
they'll experience it as well.
I'm not making the change. So no, it's not going to happen. So there's times where now I'm just like, I'm not going to that particular. You want to finance them, that's your deal, because whatever. But me personally, no, I'm not going to go there. And I won't put myself into situations which are not nice.
Yeah, so there's been a lot of standing up for yourself. I was reading a McKinsey article about, so they're talking about private equity and venture capitalists, and less than 10% of women get funding, and then less than 3% of Black women businesses get funding. And obviously, as we know, without capital or investment, you can't accelerate or grow your business. And, it's still an issue. It's still a problem. But I think speaking out, so making sure that people know that things are inappropriate, that there are organizations, there are support systems. It feels like even your bosses were always supporting you when you spoke up, taking you out of situations.
Yeah, I am really lucky that my current manager worked with me at Royal Bank of Scotland. So when I joined Skipton, there was just me, and then I hired him. And he's very good. He's very good at listening and sort of bridging that gap between the upper echelons that maybe need a little bit of coaxing into how to manage those situations. So he's very good, but I still think there is a long way to go. I mean, at the end of the day, when you're the only Black person in a Black female in a company, there's still a long way to go, isn't there?
Yeah, it's always so hard I feel like I'm very lucky. So my boss is a woman, and the business I work for is owned by a woman, and she's very keen on equity and balancing out. I mean, we're still very few Black people in there, but in terms of senior management position, I'm the only one there. And she's brilliant. She wants to be the change she wants to see. She's all about empowerment and active listening and creating, tangible, feasible actions, very action oriented. What can we do to change the policies within the organization? And all we need is, I call it, she's an ally.
Yes.
She's white, but she's an ally. And that's what we need. We need our white counterparts to stand up and say, right, this is wrong. What can we do about it?
And I guess it's knowing how to be a good ally, because, my company especially, they do the unconscious bias training and the equality training and the this and this, and you're going, but
that's not enough.
How are you putting it in practice? How are you reaching out to these people and saying, you can come and work for us? We have people that look like you, that are like you, that are young and vibrant and all these sort of things, and we celebrate all of that. And at the moment, it's severely lacking, really lacking.
And now some headhunters, Karisse, that specialize in saying we have a pool of talent, which is, Black, Indian, Asian, and this is the pool of candidates. We've seen your advertising for these roles. We'd like them also to be put forward. And then obviously you can make your decisions. So the fact that is even up and coming, but they're very far and few between. They're very few.
And I always said that, it sounds terrible, but I always think that I got both my roles when I first moved into commercial banking and this role in Skipton. because I'm a Black female, because I ticked a box. I really do feel like, no, I'm great at my job as well. Let's not have it, let's not, I was more than capable of doing the role, more than capable. But I also do think that I tick a box. It's like, have we got a Black female? Tick. We're all right for a bit now.
But you're good at your job as well.
Oh, yeah, I'm great at it.
Yeah. You need to own that shit. So let's talk about you being an entrepreneur, you co-founding the business venture that you are looking to grow. How did that come about with you and your business partner?
So Kedeyahko is the name of the brand, and it actually came out of me and my business partner wanting to do a photo shoot. So I started pole in 2019, and it was I just stumbled into it. I just wanted to try something new, and I just enjoyed it. It's just a different way to keep fit that just didn't feel like a workout. I've done gym, I've done running, I've done boxing, I've done all the bits. And this was just another bit to try. I didn't expect it to go into anything, but it was just something to try. And the studio that I was at, a very white-dominated studio, a lovely studio, but a lot of white faces, and there wasn't any Black people. And I wanted to book a photo shoot, and I was looking for inspiration for photo shoot ideas, because I'm looking at everybody else's, and they're all white, and I'm going, no, I need someone who looks a bit like me, and what do they do?
Yeah.
And your bum's a little bit bigger, what's going on? And then I found on the photographer's website, on his Instagram page, a picture of my then business partner. I was like, she goes to the same studio as me. And I messaged her, I slid into the DMs, and I was just like, oh, hey. And she was like, girl, we've already met. And I was like, when? And she was like, at the Christmas party, but you were drunk. So she sent me all these pictures of me going, hey, at the Christmas party. And we met up, and we've been friends ever since. And we were like, do you know what would be so good to do like a doubles photo shoot with like Black pride and African culture, and just be like showcasing colour and vibrancy, and let's start having a look for like ideas, and let's start having a look for pole wear. And we were looking and we were looking and we were looking and we were looking and we were looking, and there wasn't any. And we were just like, so we're gonna have to do it then, aren't we? So that's how it started. And then we noticed that these Black people weren't showcased. They weren't on the pole wear campaigns. It's got better now. It's really got a lot better now. It's doing bits now, but it really wasn't there. So that's how it came about. We wanted to have cute outfits that represented us, our culture, our heritage, and just be like, and so we just started Kedeyahko, and we've been at it we've launched last May. But we registered the business in 2020, and we've just been working ever since.
And just for the listeners out there, so, clothing and fashion is $1 billion industry, and they definitely profit from our amazing culture, our amazing style.
Yeah.
And that is what is, thriving. If you go in the shops now, 90s throwbacks, etc., we know where that started.
Yeah.
And the fact that you've looked at a niche and said there's an opportunity here, it's not serving people like me.
Yeah.
How do you first of all explain what is pole dancing? Because someone's probably listening and saying pole dance, pole fitness, what is that? What is it?
So pole dance, pole fitness is, well, it originally started in the club with the scrippers, which we have to give it up to them because they'd be out there doing the bits. And it's developed into a fitness regime. So it's on the pole, see like the pole, and it can be anything from conditioning to doing tricks to dancing to being movement, sensuality. Men do it as well. My son, he does it, but he's does more strength tricks and things like that. So it's a great way to get fit. It's like an all body workout. It really is.
A lot of strength and core work there. It's not to be played around with. Yeah.
It's not. I think I think a lot of people think that it's just nakedness and sexiness, which it can be, and that's amazing, and it can be that as well. And it can also be strong, hard. If you want, you go to the gym as well, and I see how hard you work. It can just be that on a pole, conditioning, exercise. It's everything. It can be as everything. It's so varied. I think that's why I like it so much, because if I want to work out, but I'm tired and I don't really want to go hard, I might just go and flow and move sort of slowly and a bit more peacefully. Or if I'm really like angry and aggressive, I can really go at it and do loads of tricks and be up the pole and doing all the madness up there. Or if I just want to look cute and pose and do all that, I can do that as well. So my workouts vary, and I only need me, my pole, and I can do 1,010 different types of workouts.
I mean, it's so versatile. I keep saying when I come up to Manchester, I definitely need to come into one of your classes. Just the fact, the music, the body confidence.
Yeah.
It's very liberating and empowering. So, and we don't even have that facility here in my little village.
There's one in Northampton.
Oh, okay.
I believe so, because I was talking to one of my pole friends yesterday, and she's in Northampton. I'm not sure what studio she goes to, but it's not.
That's close enough, yeah.
Widely advertised though, and again, I think it's because of the stigma, because people get all pressed about, sex workers and strippers, and they think that people.
It's just that.
It's just that, and it is that, and it's also other things. And you can be a stripper, and so what? Great, awesome. And you can also do pole fully clothed. There's a woman that I follow on Instagram who is a Muslim and a modest wear Muslim who does pole. Oh, she's amazing. She's got her whole thing on. She's up the pole doing bits, but she's modest, completely covered. She's got her heels on though.
Yeah.
And she's liberated.
You need the heels. Yeah. You definitely.
She's completely liberated. So it's you can be as naked as you want, as covered up as you want. You can do it in trainers. You can do it in jeans. You can do it however you want. So it's really varied. And when people say to me, "Oh, I'd love to try it, but I'm not strong," and I go, "You don't have to be. You learn to be.
You have to start somewhere. You build up, isn't it?"
When I first went, I couldn't do anything. I couldn't do it. But you go there and you cheered on all by everybody's there, and it's so empowering. And when you first do your first bit, even if it's just I'm holding the ball, you're like, "Yay me!" So I would tell everybody to try it. Everybody to take some kind of lesson, workshop, have a laugh, and just have fun with it. Don't take things too seriously. Pole's not that serious. It's fun. It's vibrant and energetic. Just go for it.
Yeah. And what skill sets have you taken from your commercial finance background into the business that you're running now? Surely there's massive upsides.
I mean, the finance side of things, they're looking at the numbers. That's a tough question, I think, because I think that's.
I think maybe also being focused, because I was reading up obviously about and looking on the Instagram, etc. How businesses succeed, all businesses globally, is they answer a specific question. So you've looked at a niche, you've seen that it's not servicing people who look like you. You've also seen it's not servicing people who look like you, but also curvy women. And you said, okay, now there's potential. There's a business here. There's an idea that we can actually grow. So from an auditing perspective, all the things that you've mentioned, that's probably what you've taken and brought on.
Probably. I didn't think it was a conscious thing, I suppose. So when you're asking me that question, I'm like, nothing. But I guess they do go, they have transferred. I suppose the business side of things is more fueling my creative side. I feel like that's my audit job is not creative at all. There's no colour.
You're not tapping into that.
In the audit world. So I suppose I feel like they're very separate. But clearly some skills are transferring over.
Yeah, yeah. And where do you see the business going? Are you looking to present at trade shows? Is there a pole fitness trade show that happens? What's your vision for the business?
Oh, my vision. So at the moment, we are trying to get the pole wear up and out. That's that's the first priority. Turning up to more events, but again, we really want to be in the right events. Pole competitions and things like that are still quite white dominated. So it's understanding whether we want to be there at this stage. How can I put it? So we recently attended Black Stage Showcase, which is just a phenomenal event. Absolutely.
And what is it, just for the audience? What is that?
It is a pole showcase of it's an event. So it's an event. It's not like a competition. So it's 13 dancers, 10 to 13 dancers putting on a show for us, but predominantly people of colour. That's what it's for, and giving those people who don't already have a platform. So it was a great showcase. Everyone was so different, varied dancers, all different backgrounds. So we were there as a sponsor and as a vendor. And that was great for us because that's our audience. The people that are going to these shows are Black or allies. You know, they understand the struggle and they get where pole came from, that it came from Black women in the clubs. It came from that movement. And obviously it's been gentrified and now it's turned into pole fitness and everybody in the housewife are doing it, which is absolutely fantastic. But they've forgotten the origins of it and they're not ready to celebrate that. So being in that space around our peers and people who get that was really amazing. So to take the brand into a pole competition or a pole showcase that was predominantly white, pole fitness, didn't give it up for the sex workers who pioneered the industry, isn't high on our list at the moment. So we are going to be focusing on the pole wear, getting that up and running, and then finding the right place for us, whether it's attending Black Stage again at a later date, other competitions that have popped up that are supporting, that do represent, that do showcase lots of other melanated pole dancers on the stage and off the stage. And ultimately, for us, there's a pole brand called Pole Junkie, and basically they're not a brand, sorry, they are e-commerce. So they stock all the big pole brands around the world. So
they're like an online marketplace.
I'd love to be stocked by Pole Junkie, because that means it's like that's the mainstream. That's where everybody goes for their pole wear. So that'd be the dream.
I mean, I'm reading behind. It says bold, vibrant, and Afrocentric. So you want to stick to your niche and serve, that community. Yeah, plug that community,
but also be inclusive. So we are a Black-owned brand. Yes, we showcase Black pole dancers, but we are not just for pole dancers, and we're not just for Black people. The people that have bought our merch are pole dancers, and they're also not pole dancers, and we have a lot of white customers, or non-Black customers as well. The idea behind the merch, the pole dancing queens, was we wanted just cute, vibrant, graphic T-shirts. So many times it's like, you like a good graphic T-shirt, but it was always white women. It was always a white pole dancer. So I'm going to wear the white pole dance T-shirt because I'm, doing my thing. So a white person can still wear this. Do you know what I mean? It's like she's
offering variety, isn't it? Yeah.
It's about we're trying to make a statement without having to make a statement. It's not a political statement to have a brown skinned pole dancer on a T-shirt. yes, it is in the main, because we're trying to make waves and set ourselves at a table where we weren't previously invited to. But it's also saying it's fun. It's a cute little vibrant t-shirt. You can wear it too.
Yeah, it's providing options. So when I then finally go and Poll Junkie, I want to have, options
Yes.
to say, right, I can buy a t-shirt with a Latina woman, a white woman, a black woman, a thick woman, a slit, options.
Representation matters at the end of the day.
Exactly.
And, when you go in, I want to tell everybody that I do poll, even though I'm not on the poll. I want to wear a t-shirt that says, like, I'm a badass, but I want the image to represent me, my culture. I don't want it to be white Barbie. That's done. We've got that. We've got that in droves. We've got many versions of that in abundance. So how can I see myself? So that's why we created the merch line as well.
Yeah, I was just thinking, because there's the UK Black Business Festival that's coming up, I think, later this year. That would be a good place for you to go.
Also, there's like things like pop-up shops like Melanin Markets and all that sort of thing. So we're definitely going to tap into those. We've done our first pop-up market, which went really well. No technology issues. That was my concern, when the machines are not working. So that went really well. So we're definitely going to be doing more of them. But again, for us, there's we're balancing work and life and home, and there's only two of us. So it's finding the time and the energy to do all those things and not rush it as well. We don't want to go out there and rush it and not give our tribe the best of it, if that makes sense. We want to really,
because it really is just two of you. So you're actually doing the design, the sourcing. Everything. Are you drop shipping? Finding a supplier, etc. All of it.
A mix of drop shipping and our own suppliers. Yeah, we're doing it all, and we've got zero knowledge of the fashion industry. Zero. So we've learned everything on the fly. Like the website we've built completely ourselves. The marketing we've done ourselves. The branding, everything has been. Let's learn on a YouTube video kind of thing. Let's research. Let's just delve in, and I love that. From a personal point of view, it's just like, I love that I've learned how to build a website. Wow, I love that I've learned how to design a care label. I love that I've learned how to do a shipping plan. All those things. I just very, very proud of myself for.
I mean, honestly, Karisse, it's good to put that out there. One of the things that you've done is you just started. You just said, right, we're starting this business. We're going for it, and we're going to learn everything. It's a bit like, I'm a few episodes into the podcast, and interesting story. The first two podcasts, I paid someone on Fiverr to do all the editing. And then he gave me a few tips of what to do. And I said, you know what? He's given me a few tips and I've taken them on board. I am going to edit the next one myself. It took a few hours, but now, honestly, it takes me an hour to do everything end to end. But you have to think, writing a brief, researching the industry or the person that you're looking to speak to, thinking about sound, thinking about the platform. There's so many, and I love it.
Yeah,
I love the whole thing.
Yeah, and I've always worked for a company, and you're given a role, and this is the job description, and you do this. And you might go out a little bit outside the job description, but you do a role. So now getting up, having, motivate yourself. I suppose you're the same with the podcast. It's like, right, I've now got to do, there's nobody else. I know I've got a business partner, but there's nobody else. We have to do this, learn it. We've got to read the thing. We've got to then do it. And I think it's the most satisfied I've been in work for the longest time, because it's for me, it's for the business, and it's for other people like me. And when we've met our customers out and about and they're like, oh my God, I love it. And it's just like, oh, wow, okay. Because at first I was just like, do you know what? If we just do it and it's just for us, then great. I'm just buzzing for that. I'm just going to create cute little T-shirts and I'm going to buy all of them. But when I see people going, oh, I love it. I'm like, oh, right. we are serving the people, we are serving a purpose. They do want to see this. There is a market for it, and it's so
It's very gratifying, isn't it? Yeah.
it's so satisfying. So, and I just wish I'd have been more entrepreneurial earlier, but it happens when it happens. I believe in divine timing anyway. So it was supposed to happen when it was supposed to happen. But I love that entrepreneurial spirit. I really do. That go get 'em. I didn't have it before, but I love it.
Yeah, and you're just learning every day. I think that's one of the things as well. So talk to me about your tribe and relationships. What are the important relationships in your life, and how do they help you and guide you in everything that you're doing?
Oh, so my my key relationships are my husband. He is my
Shout out to the husband.
he is long suffering. I've been with me for a long time. Since we've been together since we're 18, we've known each other for years. And he's like my biggest fan. Whenever I say, "Oh, I'm thinking of doing something mad," he'll be like, "Yeah, you'll be amazing at that." And I'll be like, "Thanks." He's just like, "Yeah." He's just literally behind me, cheering me up, but not supportive. Someone drew a picture the other day, and it was, they were describing their journey, and it was, they were looking at the future and their partner was beside them holding their hand, and they were looking at them. So their partner was looking at them, not at their dreams. It wasn't the same dream, but they were looking at them, supporting them in that dream. So my husband's that for me. He's like a champion. He's like my biggest fan. He'll do anything for me. He'll help. If I need a job doing, and he's a good sounding board. So yeah, he's that. And my other key relationship has to be my cousin Caroline, who you know well.
Hey, Caroline, shout out.
So, she's just a champion of me as well. She's one of the best people that I know. She's been through loads of things, and she just is so strong, and
she's a woman of action, isn't it? She's
really is.
she's not one. You know, when you meet some women who just say, "Oh, always complaining, moaning, and not doing anything about their lives," and she's one of those. But by action,
Yeah.
This is the issue, this is the problem, this is the vision, and she goes for it, and she supports us in that way.
Yeah.
She's like, "You want to start a podcast? Go for it. What are you waiting for?
Yeah,
you want to start this business? Yeah, no excuses."
Yeah, she's very that, and she just allows me to be me. Like, we talk constantly, you know. Yeah, she's my cousin, she's my best friend, she's like my sister. We've got kids the same age, so whether it's motherhood, business, relationships, I think she's probably knows me better than anybody. I can really speak freely to her, no judgment. You know, we talk about things that you know, we ain't saying to other people. I'm in awe of her. Like, I'm in awe of her. And I always say when she's like Oprah, when she's going to be Oprah, well, her own Oprah, I said, I'm going to be Gail.
Yeah. I'll be just part of the entourage.
So yeah, those two really are my rock, my foundation, my go-to. Whenever I'm wavering, whenever I'm having that self-doubt, like, imposter syndrome is a big one for me. Even before coming on this podcast, because I was like, okay, let me go see what's going on. And I was just like, wow, the guests. And I was like, I know these people. Like, I know of these women. What do you want to interview me for? And I rang Caroline, and I was like, so I'm going on the podcast, and I don't know if, and she was like, what are you talking about? You're amazing. And then she was like, just did this list of all these things that I'm great. And I was like, yeah, I can do that's me. So she's great for that.
Oh, that's brilliant. Let's talk about work-life balance, because you've sort of talked about it throughout, you know, the thread of finding out what's important for you, what makes a difference. How important is work-life balance for you, and self-care? What is self-care for you as a woman?
So work-life balance is really important. So my day job, I work part-time, and it's super flexible, and I love that. So that's great. I'm able to do the school run and all that sort of thing. Those things were really important to me when I was a mum, because when I was growing up, my mum worked so hard. Like both my mum and dad really worked hard, but I remember they weren't always there at like sports day and things like that. And whereas I love that I've got a strong work ethic from my mum and dad, I know that I missed those things growing up, and I know I can't go to everything, and I don't go to everything. You know, we've got dad will sometimes go, and sometimes Nana has to go, but I always wanted someone to be able to see those things for the kids, because I know my mum missed out as well. So that was super important to me. Self-care. So I used to think like self-care was all about like on a Sunday I'd have self-care Sunday, and I'd have a bath, and I'd do the things, and I'd put a face mask on. Right. Yes, Zen. Right. And I still do that, don't get me wrong, and just sit there and be like, have my little wine in the bath. But now for me, self-care is actually about doing some hard work. And last year I started a womb enlightenment program, like a Reiki program, and that sort of helps me heal some deep wounds. So I feel like that's my self-care, going deep.
And what made you decide to take on Reiki as a form of self-care?
It started with pole. I was going to a pole class, and the person who is my Reiki master, she went to the class, and we just started chatting, and she just had a way of just, there was just something she kept drawing, and I kept being drawn to her. And I remember one day she said to me, you'll tell me that story another time. And I was just like, oh yeah. And I kept seeing it on the Instagram, and I'll do that, and I'll do that. And she held a workshop, which was like a sister circle, which I'd never been to. And it was sister circle and the movement, which was like a floor work class, which was more what I wanted to do. But I felt so held in this circle and able to speak freely that I was like, oh, right, I didn't know this was an option. I didn't know, I've done therapy before, I've done all those kinds of things, but I didn't know we could speak on a deeper level. I'd never had that sort of thing with sisters round a circle and talking and all that sort of thing. It was just alien to me. So then when she'd talked about the womb enlightenment, I was like, what the hell is that? But I realised I wanted to heal from the traumas of the births of the children, because you just have these kids and then you just sort of left to your own devices and you get on with it. And I didn't realise that I had traumas there that I needed to work on. So that's how I stumble into it, again, through dance. And yeah, I suppose that's my self-care now, is taking the time to really look at those things that I didn't want to look at, to ask those questions, to heal those wounds, to forgive those traumas, those ancestral traumas, to heal, so I can sort of lead the next generation, my children, and the next ones, and the next ones, and the next ones, without that. So that's my self-care.
Do you think that's sort of also been accelerated by the fact that you made a decision that, you are going to do things that give you joy? You said at the beginning, giving you joy. And through that, you're being drawn to people who have that energy as well.
Yeah.
It's very liberating, isn't it?
Yeah, I think, you're right. I think for the longest time, I valued other people's opinions a lot more than my own. And I did things that I was just like, why am I, when you look back and go, why was I like that? Why did I do that? I don't do that. I do this. This is the way I want to operate. I'm fun. I'm vibrant. I'm all those things. So now I just surround myself with people like that. Like one of my best friends, she's 20 years old. She's 20. We speak every single day. And I think you're closer in age to my son than you are with me, but you give me joy. Do you know what I mean?
Well, you're very young at heart, Karisse. I mean, come on, girl.
But, one of my best friends is in her 50s. And I just go to people that give me joy now. I surround myself with just good energy, and that doesn't mean that it's always got to be positive energy. I'm not one of these people, like toxic people that go good vibes only, and if you're feeling down, you can't come and talk to me. No.
You need both.
No.
You need balance, equilibrium.
Because when I'm feeling down, we need to talk. But it's about having. I tell you what it is. I'm into having more open conversations. You have surface level where you're like, hi, how are you? How's the weather? Oh, just been shopping. Oh, okay. And it's surface, and that's fine. But the people in my life, I need deep. I need to be able to be free and be like, I'm feeling this. I'm feeling the other. What do you think of this? What should we have a talk about? And just have that level of communication, which I wasn't having before. It was surface level. And I think that was probably imposter syndrome, maybe fear, not wanting to go deep, not wanting to open up wounds, not being wanting to be vulnerable, needing to be strong Black woman and seen a certain way. Now I'm a whole mess. I'll be crying, I'll be laughing, I'll be.
Do you know what? It's so important when I think about my friendship group. So I'm very close with my brothers and sisters. So I'm the oldest of 8. And for a very long time, there was a very big age gap. So none of them were in their 20s or had lived life or experienced life. So I couldn't really share much with them. So I was initially very close to the siblings that come after me. So 2 of them, my 2 sisters. And then now as the others have grown and now they are in their 20s experiencing life, etc., I can also now have conversations with them. So that's great because each of them are different. Each of them are, give me a certain space and energy, and they know that as well. But then I also have my friends who I can just be really open with, be myself with. It's so liberating just to talk about anything, to agree to disagree.
Yes.
And y'all are still cool afterwards.
Do you know the amount of times that I would be getting pressed or people would be getting pressed because we didn't agree? And it's like, we don't have to agree. Imagine a world. And I've fallen out with people, or people have fallen out with me because they couldn't accept that I had a different opinion. And now I don't even think like that anymore because I'm not surrounded by people. We have conversations, we disagree, and it's not even, that's it. We just disagree.
It's not that deep.
It's not that deep. It's not that deep. It's not that deep.
Oh no, it's very freeing. They're saying, look at your circle and that will tell you a lot about your life.
My circle's beautiful. My circle is beautiful, guys. I'm picking up my circle. You know who you are, and you are beautiful.
Shout out to our circles.
Definitely. And it's changed a lot. And I think that's why I'm proper bigging them up, because if you'd have asked me 10 years ago, 15 years ago, what my circle was like, yeah.
Silence is golden, yeah.
That was beautiful.
You touched on a very important thing about, you are proud that you have the option to work part-time. And I think it's so important, Karisse, also to put that out there, because I think, there is no perfect way to be a woman in business, in your professional, personal career. And if you want to work full-time and not get married and not have any children, that's fine. If you want to work full-time and you have children, that's fine. If that is not in your goal at all to be in a relationship, that is fine. But also if you're married and you want to work part-time and pursue other things, that's fine. You need to find out what works for you. And we live in a society where everything is possible. You just need to choose your why, choose what you want to do, and then just bloody go for it.
I love that. Just go for it. I think I have conversations with people sometimes when they say, "Oh, I can't because," and I think to myself, "You can. It might be difficult, and the logistics might be like moving parts. Like, so, for example, I love going on holiday without my family. Okay, it's lovely.
It's very important.
I always get to do it, but I have done it in the past. I've done it with Caroline, and I've gone recently with another friend. And one of my friends will be like, "Oh, I can't do that," and I'll be like, "Why? You have a partner, so it's not like you've got the logistics of that to think about." you have the money. So it's not that you've got the, because I know those things are a factor. I'm not trying to be out here going, oh, like you can't just willing it. I get it, cost of living and everything, innit? But also, what's stopping you is you going to that person and saying, I need a break from y'all. So I'm going to book a holiday for me and my girl. We're going to go to a spa day, or we're going to do whatever it is that I'm doing. And there's the kids. Bye. Like, you figure it out. You figure whatever it is out. When me and my husband had the kids, it never occurred to us to have this sort of weird, you do this role, you do the other role. It was just team. It's just parents. There's no dad. Well, there's dad and mom, but there's no sort of ask your dad, ask your mom. He makes a decision. He can make a decision that his kids. You know what I mean? They're my kids. If I'm going, right, I want to do this, this, and this, then it's just, that's, I don't know. I find it a bit odd a little bit when I see women still having this sort of, oh, well, he's going to mind the kids for me. Do you mean he's minding the kids for you? They're his children. You're going out doing whatever you're doing. And he's got the kids. It's just the same way if he's doing whatever, you're doing whatever you're doing with the kids. Just have that conversation. It frustrates me that people are still not able to have what they want, even when they can, even when they're ticking those boxes of finances, they've got a partner, all those things that can really stifle people who can't just go on holiday, can't take a spa break because of they don't have a partner, or don't have the money, or they don't have a support system. They haven't got grandparents who can have the kids overnight so they can go out on, for a drink. When they have all that and then are complaining that they're tired and he doesn't do anything, and I'm just like, change it.
You're so right. I mean,
better for yourself.
Especially when they actually do have the opportunities, okay, the capabilities. On the flip side, there are some women, so I can do it all by myself. So I've been divorced for a while and I've been raising my kids on my own. And I knew there were certain gratifications that I had to delay because they were too young and it was just me. So I could not participate or do those things. And I was fine with that. And I knew when they reach a certain age,
you got
it's happening. And my son's turning 18 next week. The other one's 15. And honestly, Karisse,
I told her time.
But there are no excuses. So I think there's a balance. There's the thing between if you have the money, the resource, the parents, the childcare, there are no excuses. If you have a partner that's not supportive, then do the work, go for the counseling and find out how you can make that happen. And then also, if you don't have the resources, you don't have the means, work towards that, or
I'm not saying that you could just go right, bye-bye, but if that's something you need, even if it's like, do you know what, I need an hour. Even if you're a single parent, you go, I need an hour, right, kids, you're on your devices, I need an hour. Or do you know what, speak to your friends. It's so important there's other mums at the school gates that are having the same thing as you. But if you do like a kid swap and go, right, yeah, I'll have them for a couple of hours for you, and then next week you have them for me. That's what, so I can do my shopping, or I can do, so speak. So I suppose what I'm trying to say is speak up to what it is that you need.
And start small.
Start small. That's a great one. Just start telling. We're told all the time that we've got to be everything, haven't we, as women? We've got to be the mother, the cook, the clean, the worker, and wear all these hats, and then have no time for rest and not speak up. So just be honest with your friends, be honest with whoever, and just be like, tired. And someone who cares about you will be like, I'll just drop the kids off at me for a couple of hours if you need a rest, and take them up on it. If someone's offering, I'm going to just put my camera, my charger in. Sorry, hon.
No worries. No.
There we go. Take them up on the offer. There we go. Yeah, take them up on the offer. Oh, can't access your video. There we go. Am I back? There we go.
You're back. You're back in the room.
Yeah, don't just go, oh, thanks. Yeah, I know I'm all. Don't tell somebody that you're tired and then someone say, all right, well, I can help you with this, this, and this. And then go, oh, no, don't do. Just take them up on it. They will only offer if they can. I've learned that now. Like, I will offer what I can do. If I can't, I'll just go, oh, yeah.
And also, if you don't ask, you don't get. People aren't mind readers.
No.
A friend of mine told this, I don't know what you're going through. If you don't tell me, my sister says it the same way, you need to express yourself. And if I can support in whatever way, I will. But if I can't, I might say have you thought of this? Have you thought of that? But
I might not have
if
the
you
answer,
don't
but
ask,
at least we can have a conversation, and it starts there. Start being honest with. I wasn't honest with myself for the longest time, and I burnt myself out. Just trying to do all the hats, trying to do everything, and be great at everything. I really wanted to be great at everything. And now I'm just like, yeah, I can't do that today. No.
I was listening to a podcast and the guy said, one of the things in life is you have to accept that when you're pursuing one thing, it may be a goal, an opportunity, a job, a career, having children. When you're pursuing one thing and focusing on it, something else is going to get left behind.
Yeah.
And the trick to it is to accept that, you are focusing and doing well and perfecting this one thing, but something else is going to fall behind. And that's okay.
Yes. Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. I tell you what, that's okay needs to be on a t-shirt because, again, I'm very much that. And I was going, when I started with the business, I was so busy with work and I was not spending as much time with my husband and the children. And that's okay. They got to a point where they didn't need me as much, but I was feeling the guilt of it. And now I remember my oldest one, I said to him, and I was working and I'm working away. And I said, oh, can you do this? Can you go and do something? I don't know what it was. Go and do something for me. And I said, oh, I'm so sorry. I've not really spent much time with you today anyway. Don't worry, Mum. You've been working really hard. And it's when the business is up and when it takes off, it'll be all worth it. And I was like, so he sees it. So, and being okay with that. And even with my husband, I was like, oh, we've not spent much time over Easter together at all. You've been busy, I've been busy. And I was like, oh, right, okay, tomorrow we'll have a wine night. We'll have a wine and a movie night. So, and that's all it is. We're not going to do any big extravagant date night. We haven't got time. But that's okay. That's okay.
That's so important message. Circling back to everything that you've said, I mean, I don't even need to ask about networking because you are a networker itself. You've just embraced every opportunity. What tips would you give to someone who's maybe struggling to find themselves, to put themselves out there, to network, to increase their net worth, whether it's physical, mental, financial? What tips would you give for them?
Try everything. Don't worry about trying something and it not being the thing. Go to something. So like networking, go to an event. It might not be the right one. That's okay. You want to start a new class, a fitness class, a dance class, anything. Try it. You don't like it, it's fine. Even if it's therapy, even if it's like, I'm going to go and start therapy and you're worried about whether the therapist is the right one for you, go and try it. You can always stop. And that's okay. I think I used to struggle with the fact that I would always be trying different things. And I did running and I did gym and I did this and I did that. And I used to think, oh, I'm not consistent. I don't stick at things, and that was a bad thing. No, it wasn't. I was just trying things. I was trying things until I found the things that worked for me. And even with my self-care now, I've been doing that for about a year now, and I'm still growing on a journey. And it's like that might change into something else, and that's okay. And I think just try things. Don't let yourself get in your own way. Don't rely on other people to go with you, because when you start only going with someone, it's like when you have a gym partner or you're only going to go dance class with somebody. No, go on your own if you can. I mean, obviously go with a friend, great, but really try and go on your own. Step out of that comfort zone, because when that other person isn't there, then you go, oh, well, I'm not going to go then. Oh, she's not going, and you don't go, even though you really like it and it's your thing. You stop going, you stop having that joy. So just go on your own. Just go and do it. Do it.
A very good tip. Just do it.
Just
do it. Who are some trailblazer women in your life? I know you've talked about, shout out to Caroline. I think she's getting lots of shout outs, but who are, other trailblazer women you look up to? Who inspire you?
Who inspires me? Well, there's loads actually. My business partner, she inspires me. She's awesome. In the pole industry, there is an amazing Black queer pole entrepreneur, the creator of Black Stage, Layla. I really look up to her because she's so young. At 26, and she's just out there doing bits. And I remember being so unsure of myself at that age. I just didn't know who I was at that young age. I couldn't have envisaged just going out and just, I'm going to create this. And so when I think about the people that really inspire me, it's probably the younger ones, like my best friend and the ambassador of our brand, Destiny. She inspires me. She's 20 and she's just a pole dancer. She performs at events. She's just a go-getter. So she really inspires me, and I still get inspired by my mum. So she had a whole career in the NHS. She was a nurse, and then she became a nurse tutor. So she was quite high up in her field before she retired. She retired at 50, and then she started a whole new career as a florist. It's so random. And she started as a florist because I got married and wanted some flowers, and flowers dear. So she was like, oh, I'll learn to do flowers. That's how she started. And she was president of her flower club committee, which again is predominantly white based. Well, she's the only Black one. She's the only Black one. And I'm in awe of her having this sort of extra career at the end of 50, and a creative career. And she's there at little pop-up markets. She's done flower shows, like the RHS stuff, and she's there in the magazines, this little Black woman. She's just so cute with her gorgeous flowers, and she always has to have a theme, and it has to have a story behind it, and she'll bring in her culture. And I love that, because she's bringing in that vibrancy that, there's Black florists out there, and one of my other best friends, she's a florist as well. So yeah, I'm really inspired by her, because I suppose it's a similar journey to me, working in a corporate world, and then at 40, for me it's 40, for mum it's 150, having a switch up and a new career. So yeah, those are the people that inspire me.
You're inspired by go-getters, just living their best life, basically. Yeah.
Without sort of fearlessness. Because, my mum, she'll ring me, she'll be like, I can see the imposter syndrome setting in, and she'll be like, oh, so-and-so who's won this and this and this is showing at this show. And I'll be like, yeah, but have you seen your stuff, Mum? Yours is banging, it's amazing. And then she'll be like, oh, I don't know. She'll send me a picture, oh, I don't know. And then she'll win. And I'll be like, see?
I think we all have imposter syndrome, isn't it? Just that feeling of not being enough. And maybe, what, it's a good feeling to have, because it just shows you're human, but it shouldn't stop you from going for what you need to go for, trusting your instinct.
Don't let it stop you. Have the fear, have that bit of anxiety. I think, acknowledge it and say, I know you're there, but we're going to do this anyway. Let's put the red lipstick on and go.
We're doing it. We're doing this thing.
Things.
What are 3 things that people don't know about you?
3 things that people don't know about me that I can share.
That's another podcast. Karisse.
Wow. Okay, that wasn't on your list of questions, girl.
Girl,
Mm,
we need to switch things up.
I know.
Okay, even one. Just name one if you want.
I used to ballet dance.
Oh,
Yeah.
so you've probably got great posture. Now I'm going to look at your posture every time I see you, because
I used to. um, what else can I? I think I'm a pretty open book. I'm not sure what. I'll tell you one thing that people might not know about me. I once did a white collar fighting event.
What the hell is that?
I did a boxing event.
What? So you trained for it, or you just showed up? What?
No, it was like I trained for it. You go like on an 8-week training thing, and then you have an actual boxing match with a human being punching people. And I don't know why I did it, but I did. It was just a thing that I needed to do. And it made me realize that I do not like physical contact with people. It was a big mental journey, that one. But
you're a good person to take on a night out for squaring up.
But you know what it made me realize? People think that I'm tough and I'm strong and all this sort of stuff, but I was just like, I don't want to hurt people. Like, it made me realize that I'm a lover, not a fighter.
That's a very interesting fact. Even I didn't know that about you. Ballet, and you have competed in some boxing competition.
Oh, and I'm terrible at spelling. And my business partner will tell you that, because she has to proofread pretty much every single email, Instagram post, anything that I send out, because my spelling is atrocious.
But maybe you're very analytical from your attention to detail. Maybe for you is a strength. Not your spelling. Can't be good at everything.
Exactly. We all have skills, and spelling is not one of mine.
Yeah. Lastly, what are 3 trailblazer tips you'd want to give, to some young woman, girl, boy out there who's listening, based on everything we've just chatted about?
I would say just get on with it. Just go and do it. Yeah, you might be feared. It might not be the way you think it's going to go, but just do it. Just go for it. I would also say get rid of the naysayers. Constructive criticism is important. Someone who can call you out on your bullshit or say, nah, sis, that's not looking cute, is good. But also be mindful of those people who are constantly going, no, just get rid. Honestly, just dash them in the bin. That's not constructive criticism. That's not helpful. Just get rid of them. And have some form of self-care system, even if it's like, I'm going to start with a bath. I'm going to start with an hour a week for me, which is going to be sitting watching Netflix, or 5 minutes. So I know people go, I'm going to do the meditation. I tried the meditation. I can't do it. My meditation's different to your meditation.
It's not for everyone. Yeah.
So, try not to be so hard on that self-care as well. It might look completely different to how people are portraying, I'm doing my self-care and I'm having, it might just be, do you know what? I've drank water today. Yay me. It might just be that. But having some kind of self-care system in place, and opening up to somebody who you trust, whose opinion you value, who won't judge you, who you can be open with. And if you're lucky to have a circle like we have, we've got a circle of people who we can be ourselves with, that's great. But if you haven't got that circle yet, just start slowly and it'll grow. And you'll find one, and then it'll grow and it'll blossom, and then you'll get your circle. So those are my tips for you.
There's some badass ones, badass tips there. Get rid of the crap, basically. Big one.
We've got to go.
Life's too short. Karisse, this has been brilliant, amazing, as always. I've learned a lot. commercial finance, whenever I see the auditors coming in now,
Be nice to
we
them.
won't be nice to them. Yeah.
Give them
I've always been nice to the auditors.
Give them a tea, offer them a biscuit. Believe me, it will. I mean, we can't take bribes, but it will go along. It will go.
Just be courteous, be kind, and respectful.
Yes.
Yeah. And if someone wants to go into their career, it's I've learned a lot of things through this podcast. And pole dancing, brilliant. I'd like to say thank you so much, Karisse, for being on the Trailblazers experience.
Thank you so much for having me. I've absolutely loved it.
And just for people listening out there, we can only grow if you subscribe to the YouTube page, follow, share, comment. We're trying to build a movement here and tell inspiring real life stories of women in business, entrepreneurs, and hoping to inspire a generation. On that note, thank you for listening.